Welcome to Tipster Punters. What a time of the year to be joining us. We're going to go through all the regular stuff and some new stuff. But before we go any further, let me introduce to my right, Luke Hovannessian.
Morning, Damo.
How are you?
Not bad. How are you?
Good, good. Of course, no Mick Gannon. Oh, he's on special assignments these days. We've got him working hard on special assignments, and I think he's got his hands in every pie. But the meat pie, I think, at the moment, Mick Gannon. But he'll be back next week. And, of course, Luke, always good to have you here. Luke, the racing so far. So I look at last weekend. We had Amelia's Jewel Salute. We had Lady Shenandoah Salute. And, of course, Via Sestina. They were hot tips. Or I think every punter in Australia just about would have had them in their multis.
Except me.
Except you.
I had Lady of Camelot. I thought she could knock off Lady Shenandoah. She went
Well,
close.
you weren't far off there. I mean,
Yeah.
what I mean, it seems like the class of 2024 is really shining bright. And I wanted to start with that and probably get your thoughts on which horses so far. I mean, we're early doors at the moment in the Autumn Carnival, but was keen to hear from what you've seen, what your thoughts are, and who's sort of showing the goods.
I mean, it goes without saying, but Via Sestina, she's turned the tables on Fangirl now, and it looks like her Autumn Carnival.
Okay, there's a call.
She's rising up to 2,000 metres now and
Yep.
beyond, and it's hard to see anyone beating her.
Yeah.
There is a horse. It's probably a bit lesser unknown. It comes to a Rose Hill, basically maiden the other day. Midweek, it's called Deal and Dash. It's being set
Dash.
for the Derby by Bjorn Baker, and it looks an absolute ripping chance. I think you can still get about $15. One to throw in the black book, one to watch.
And you said that those magical words, Bjorn Baker. I mean, I don't know what's going on in that stable at the moment, but it's all good. That's for sure. I think he's becoming the one that punters follow when they haven't got a clue after J-Mac. I mean, it's quite extraordinary. Thanks for that, Luke. Interesting stuff. I mean, obviously this weekend it continues with the Newmarket and the Randwick Guineas. Anything catch your eye this early on?
Well, broadsiding's going to be hard to beat in the Randwick Guineas, but at the price, you just possibly can't step into it. So we'll put a pen through that race. In the Newmarket, right down the bottom, horse by the name of Gatsby's, Chris Waller trained. Karis Teeden's coming from Hong Kong to ride. It's going to be his first ride in Australia in quite a while. So lightweight, it will get back, but with a Newmarket, there's always hot speed.
Yeah, sure.
So sit off him, charge home, hopefully gets the cash.
Yeah, interesting insight. Early markets too, so got to be happy with that. We thought we'd ask the punters. It's early on. I mean, which horse are we going to be talking about at the end of this carnival? Which is the horse where we'll be saying superstar? But let's think about those that we may not know. So obviously Via Sestina and the likes we know about, but who's the one who's going to pop out of the ground here, and we're going to have our eyes on? Punters, give us your view. Here you are on YouTube. Just look down to the comments, comment away, tell us, and we're going to reflect back on this probably in about our May episode and see which of you was the best predictor, I guess, of horse talent, and see who got it right. So, yeah, that should be interesting. I mean, you might do the same, Luke. I've got no idea. I'm not going to... I'll just concentrate on the form guide for the weekend, I think. But I'm sure there's pretty astute guys out there. They've put comments on our thread. So very interested to hear what you've got to say. Of course, for the episode ahead of us, we have got the tipsters of the month. Remember, these tipsters aren't just those who tip on the site. It's every media expert you can think of. Amongst those who have got the pro symbol, which means they really are pros and they know what they're doing, and punters just having a crack. So if you're on that list, you know what you're doing. We're going to reveal it shortly, and then soon after we do the tipster of the month, of course, we get free tips from those who have done a very good job in February. So you'll get those free tips. So hang around, and we're going to finish off with some interesting stuff as well. Luke, ready to go?
Ready to go.
Let's go. Welcome back to Tipster Punters. Of course, this is the segment where we look at the tipster of the month in February. Now, again, remember, there's thousands of tipsters that are in the mix, including all the media experts that you know and love. And look, we start with the top five. So we throw in everyone and we see on the leaderboard who finished top 5. So if you're here, it's special. You've got to put enough tips and you've got to back enough winners and all that sort of stuff. So we have all those controls in place, and we reveal the top 5. Look at this. There's some interesting faces here. At the top, we have he's been here before, and it's always a hard one to pronounce. Kudikilat. I have no idea where that came from. I know he holds a big fish in his image there, his avatar, but certainly no stranger to this segment, and has the pro symbol, Luke. 142% pot, which is absolutely hideous, of 63 tips, 9 winners, average price $16.90. Why wouldn't you follow him?
It's absolutely unreal stuff. I mean, he's got nearly double the pot of the next person on the leaderboard, which shows how airborne he's going. And he's got a real keen eye for roughies over in WA. So some of the highlights, he backed a horse called Security, hopefully I pronounced it right, it's $75.30. And then on the 26th of Feb, he also backed another one at $61, which is... they're ludicrous numbers. You'd be happy to back one of those a year, and he's doing it on the regular.
And if he pulled out one only, you might say it's a fluke, but I mean, the fact that he's got the pro symbol tells you otherwise. But furthermore, he's actually had 2 winners over $61 in the space of a couple of weeks. I mean, he's obviously looking for those value plays, and he gets it right more times, or enough times to make some pretty good money. So all you have to do, folks, to follow this guy is come to thegreattipoff.com, type in KUDUKILAT, it's there on your screen, and just hit the follow button. You'll know as soon as his tips drop, and you can get on board. Who we got next? We've got Keats 141. As you said, he's almost half, but still 78% pot is a miraculous effort. That just sort of shows what the top guy's done. But it's a top effort. He's done that from 58 tips, 10 winners, again averaging $9.79. I mean, these are starting prices, right? So you could probably do better than that. I mean, absolutely extraordinary. What do we know about him, Luke?
So he's another value hunter. It seems to be a trend throughout all of the top 5 you'll see here. They really like avoiding the favourites and just going for those value plays. He had 8 winners over $6, including Tornado Boom at Pakenham, which paid $33.50. So if you're having a punt on a Thursday night and you want to follow someone, Keats is your man.
There we go, Keats 141. Moving on, Trading Bot. There's a nice name. He's clearly giving us a bit of insight there. 4 winning weeks in a row. Tell us more about him. I mean, 75% pot. He's just finished in 3rd place of 78 tips, and again, average price $7.20.
Yeah, well, in the GTO, you always get a wide mix of people of how they like to do their form. He leans to more the analytical rating side of things.
Yeah, nice.
He goes into it in depth, and obviously his form has just continued to roll. So we mentioned 4 winning weeks in a row. It's actually going to be 5 at the end of this week, because last Saturday he nailed Feroce as the Australian Guineas winner at Flemington. So yeah, he just continues to roll.
Very interesting indeed. There's a character here called Luke Hovanessian. Now, I got to tell you, folks, you should have heard the discussion before we come on air here. Luke was a bit unsure of how we'd attack this one. I'll take the stage here. As modest as Luke is, he didn't want to talk himself up. But look, clearly, Luke is one of our esteemed analysts. I mean, we're very proud of what he does. He does good work, does a lot of homework, I must say. And look, as it turns out, he's the top 5 media expert as well for the last 5 months. So that's a pretty... I mean, 5 months for me would have more ups and downs than a roller coaster at Luna Park. Probably more downs. Luke's just maintained his position. So punters, if you're looking for someone to follow over the spring, Luke Hovanessian. You'll see him actually on the homepage. If you go down, you'll see him there. You can click him. And Luke, tell us a bit about what you give punters in your weekly package, or you have more than one package. But what do they get? Is it just tips, or is there any other insights?
No, they get comments on all their top picks in the race. They get a staking plan, speed maps. So it's just a complete form guide. So if you're looking for a Saturday, especially, I focus on Sydney and New South Wales. If you're looking for basically a package for there.
There we go. So if you're looking for some form in Sydney, Luke Hovanessian. Moving on now, Ryan Keane, 3 winning months in a row. WA focus. We've seen Ryan before. He's got that pro symbol, so no guessing otherwise than that he is a winner and a long-term winner. 71% pot, just all around that 70% mark, 91 tips. So your actual cash profit's probably right up there. $8.64 average price. Tell us about Ryan.
Yeah, he's probably one of, he goes under the radar a bit, but he's consistently profitable. He has a good mix of backing both favourites and roughies, and he really gives a lot of detail in his tips when he sends them out to his followers. So if you're looking for a punter out west, he's your man.
He's your man. We had a couple out west because we started with Kutikulate, who is in the west as well. Luke and Sydney, a few others there around the places. There's your top 5 from February. Remember, this is the top 5, the only top 5, because we're putting them up against the big names in Australia. Hang around and we're going to go through the media experts very shortly. Okay, punters, this is the point where we look at the media experts. So remember, every media expert you can think of is at thegreattipoff.com. Every tip, every day since 2009. How old were you in 2009, Luke?
Oh, I was 10.
You were 10?
No, 13.
So when you were 13,
Yeah.
we started recording tips for all the media experts. So there we go, and we're still doing it today. So if you want to know who's going great, you come to the Great Tip-Off, you get tips, it's all there. So let's start. Here is the leaderboard for February media experts, and at the top, of course, we saw him in the top 5. He was the only media expert there. So logic says he's at the top. Luke Hovanesi, and I won't embarrass you anymore. Not that you should be embarrassed. You should be clapping your hands as you have been. Daniel Nuttall, who is now from racing.com. You see him everywhere. Fox Sports, I think he is as well. So he's certainly getting around. Look what he's done. 62% pot off 48 tips. 15 winners. $5.18. Can't be unhappy with that. Tell us about Daniel.
Well, we always say it, just another gun from that tips in WA.
Yeah.
They all know their stuff. They're all proven performers. Dan also tips in Queensland.
Yep.
And he had a really good month. He had 4 winners paying over $10, which is an outstanding effort. So well done, Dan.
Yeah, good. Well done, Dan. And Colin Hodges, of course, calls for Sky Racing. Does it in that sort of, Bathurst, Dubbo, Orange Riverina area, I think they call it. And he has a very distinctive sound too. He's been doing it for a while. Obviously, as we always say, you know your horses. Anything else you can tell us about him, mate?
Yeah, he knows those country tracks back to front, and considering that maybe the quality of the horses isn't as good as the metro tracks, knowing how the track plays and where horses will get an advantage, it obviously pays massive dividends. So Colin's flying, and he had 5 winners in 2 separate meetings in the month. They were both from 7 races, so he's gone close to tipping the car twice there.
2 5 baggers.
Yeah.
Wow, that's... Look, you don't achieve that unless you know your stuff. So well done, Colin. That's a huge effort. Philip Wu from the South China Morning Post. I'm saying that slowly, that acronym. But Philip, he's always in the winner's circle.
Yep.
Like when those Sha Tin and Happy Valley meetings are on, you see our leaderboard, which updates every 10 minutes.
Yep.
And so you know who's doing well at any time. So if you want to know which bandwagon to jump on, come to the Great Tip-Off, check out that leaderboard. But you'll often see on a Wednesday night or on a, Saturday, maybe a Sunday at Sha Tin, you'll see Philip Wu. He's just good. What else can you tell us about him, Lou?
Yeah, I'm exact same thought process when I get into work early on Thursday morning, or when I check the leaderboard on Sunday after a Hong Kong meeting. He's always there. He's such a proven performer. He had 2 massive winners. One was over $20 and another one was over $30. So he's not just going around tipping favourites. He's finding value in those Hong Kong markets, which is pretty tough to do a lot of the time. So, outstanding effort from him.
Good on you, Philip. Of course, and look, we had Terry on the... Terry is in 5th spot of what's he got there from SEN, of course. And 40% pot off 48 tips. 14 winners. I mean, look at that strike rate there. That's a serious strike rate. $4.81. Like, if you're getting that strike rate, you probably expect to see him $3 or less as average price. Terry Layton, I mean, we had him on the program last week, Luke. I don't know how that tip went. It probably won as well. It's probably in that 14. But look, the thing that gets me about Terry is that everyone rates him. No one can say a bad word about him. I mean, what else do we know, mate?
The thing that I've noticed most about Terry is whenever there's a big WA meeting on, like let's say there's a Group 1 or Group 2 race day there, he's always dominating. He's fighting the winners in the toughest races over there. So Yeah, kudos to Terry.
Good on you, Terry. Keep it up, mate, as I'm sure you will. That is the top 5 punters for February 2025. Hang around, free tips coming up. Okay, punters, this is the segment in the show which punters love because they're getting free tips from winning punters, winning tipsters, verified here at thegreattipoff.com since 2009. And we're going to start off with Scottnotips, one of the only punters that we've got here giving you free tips. He's had he was actually the biggest cash profit maker. So what you're seeing there is profit on turnover as a percentage. But if you put $100 on all his tips, this is the guy who would have been at the top. Scottnotips, what's your best bet for the weekend?
G'day, Scott from Scottnotips from The Great Tip-Off. A little bit about me. I just an everyday ordinary punter. I like to look at the form. Got plenty of time to review footage of races. I generally try to stick to about a 33% strike rate with my tipping, and generally tipping all cards in all locations around Australia. I definitely enjoy the West form at the moment. Definitely can pick up some tips at a price over there, and I'm doing pretty well in the last 30 odd days with my profit on turnover. I generally look for horses that have good form, can possibly be forgiven for a previous run, that draw well, good jockey combo with the trainers, all those sorts of things. Definitely go back and look at the footage of their recent runs to try and figure out how they're going to run the race and work out the speed map. But just trying to find something of value most of the time when the favourite especially is under sort of that $2 mark. So you'll see a lot of place bets, low stakes for runners at a price, but I'll stake highly when I'm going to lay into something that's a bit more keen on. Jump on board, follow along with my tips, keep me honest, make sure that I'm doing the best I possibly can, and happy hunting.
All right, there we go, punters. That's a wrap. Luke Hovannessian, thank you for joining me. Well, it's Mick Gannon guy. I think, what do you reckon? Scratch him.
Might get permanently replaced.
Look out, Mick. Look, of course, Mick will be back next week, punters, for his fan club. We've got to say that for his fan club, of course. We're going to start off here. Instead of Mick's Moral, we've got Luke's Lock. What is it? Where are we going? Randwick, Flemington, or other?
Yeah, so going Randwick, race 3, the Riesling Stakes for the fillies. There's a horse here. It's the half sister to Halal. The name is Mahuna. She won a Canterbury maiden the other week, and she was really strong through the line. She's probably a bit untapped. She was a bit green on that day, so if any further improvement, I think she's right up to this grade.
There we go.
She's about $11 at the
I
moment.
was about to ask what price. Luke's always going to give you that value. $11. Mahuna, race 3 at Randwick, of course. So there we go, punters. Hey, Luke, in the interest of funny horse names, I spotted this one this week. What do you think of this one?
And now we're racing, heading for home. Momo at the top, holding court right now, followed by Daydreaming. And Momo enjoying a nice, large, and comfortable lead. Number 6, Momo in for the victory over Mush Bright and Daydreaming. Momo in for the victory here today. As I said, she's had that resurgence.
There we go, Momo. The thing I wondered about that one there is how did the race caller know how many Momos to do? I wonder if Darren Flindell, how he'd go with that. Daz, can you give us some Momo and see how that goes? I was just thinking about some of the funniest horse names and so forth. I can reflect on a few that have popped up. Some have come through various channels, but Hoof-Hearted was one, and I think if you say that very quickly as a race caller, you'll see the funny side of that. Any others that come to mind for yourself, Luke?
Not off the top of my head. I was just impressed with the Japanese race caller. He nailed it.
He did.
Every single time he mentioned it, all 8 times of the Mo's. So
maybe we can tag some of the race callers and they can tell us about some of the toughest ones they've come up with. I'm sure we'd have some great stories. Daz, I'm relying on you for one here. Relying on you for a post. obviously there'd be a few names that you've called in the days, especially when he was in his Hong Kong days as well. So there we go. Look, punters, that's a wrap. Thank you for your company. As always, every month we're here, but also remember, all in posts around Monday night. I think we've had a few diary clashes, so it might have got out a bit late maybe on the Tuesday, but ultimately that's when you want to look out. The best way to know is subscribe. Hit the subscribe button here on your YouTube channel and you'll know when all our shows drop. And of course, we've always trying to bring you great content. We're about tipsters. That's what you're getting here in the Tipster Show. But look out, obviously go to thegreattipoff.com for your tips. There is no better resource. We are always showing there's no BS. It's just verified winning tipsters. You want to know if they're winning? Come to thegreattipoff.com. Is that right, Luke?
That's all right.
And winners are grinners
Yep.
from February. Punters, thank you for your company. We'll see you next time.